For a limited time at Sprint, get $50 for each new phone you lease when you switch. That's right. You'll get $50 for each new phone on a prepaid MasterCard issued by MetaBank member FDIC. Just register for the card online and you're good to go. Get a network built for unlimited and a great price at Sprint. It's the best of both worlds. And get $50 on a prepaid MasterCard for each phone you lease. Visit a Sprint store this weekend only for sizzling Sprint Saturday deals.
Card terms, conditions, and expiration apply.
Welcome to Life Transformation Radio. This show is all about life transformations and our journey from where we were to why we are doing what we are doing today. We will discuss the hiccups, the roller coasters, and the blood, sweat, and tears that has been poured out while discovering our purpose. It is all about our transformations. Here is your host, Sean Douglas.
Welcome, my friends, to another episode of Life Transformation Radio. I am your host, Master Resilience Implementer, TEDx speaker, performance enhancement expert, and author, Sean Douglas. This show is currently heard in over 63 countries, such as the U.S., Canada, Costa Rica, Mexico, Malaysia, New Zealand, Australia. So I want to thank you to those who are listening from around the world. Life Transformation Radio is all about our transformation. Here is where we tell the stories of why we're doing what we're doing. We highlight that transformational moment that has changed our lives and how we use this to help transform others and elevate their lives as well. Now, you can listen to us live at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time right here on Blog Talk Radio, who hosts Life Transformation Radio. You can join our Facebook community, Life Transformation Radio community. Please subscribe, rate, and review the show on iTunes, Stitcher, Spreaker, TuneIn, Player FM, and the Google Play Music app, or wherever you feel comfortable listening to podcasts. On the show are entrepreneurs, speakers, business owners, coaches, podcasters, authors, and other amazing people who are impacting everyone around them. And my guest today does exactly that. If you're catching us on the live show, you can call in at 657-383-1109. Again, the number is 657-383-1109. So, without further ado, please help me welcome to the show, Lily Sanders. How's it going, Lily?
Hi, Sean. It is going great. How are you? Hello to you. Hello to everyone around the world.
I am doing amazing. I am pumped to have you on the show because you bring such a, is eclectic the right word? Like an amazing background. Like you've been so many places doing so many things, and I cannot wait to dive right into it.
Okay, yeah, it's been pretty broad, diverse, all of that. Everything that you're saying is so true.
Perfect. So the title of this episode is Truth to Triumph with Lily Sanders. Lily Sanders' life experiences, adversity, talent, humor, and intense compassion has gifted her a purpose to write, influence, and coach others. As a magazine columnist, Lily inspired thousands while writing her own powerful international book, Truth to Triumph, a spiritual guide to finding your truth, which has transformed lives. Lily grew up in a domestically violent home and used ballet class as her sanctuary. She realized her dream as a professional dancer and landed interesting gigs as a dance contestant on Ed McMahon's Star Search and a showgirl and dancer on Ringling Brothers Barnum and Bailey Circus. She continued on to a promising acting career and won various off-Broadway roles and a day player role on ABC's One Life to Live. Years later, she married, had a beautiful child, and became a highly successful entrepreneur in the franchise world. Sadly, Lily suffered behind a veil of silence for 14 years as she found herself back in a domestically violent home as a battered wife. The lessons she learned and awakening she experienced transformed her into the inspirational, insightful, and thought-provoking author, speaker, and coach that she is today. Lily specializes in transition, spiritual and practical guidance through her books, speaking engagements, And she helps others see through adverse life situations to gain healing, clarity, focus, and teaches how to use these experiences to become an empowered expression of love and truth. Amazing. Amazing.
Thank you.
Find her at www.lilysanders.live. Go to Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Look her up. Connect with her because she is amazing at what she does. So after reading that, Lily, I got to ask you, what is your why? What is the deep why for what you do?
The deep why for what I do is I felt that everything that I went through, all the pain and the suffering would go in vain if I didn't actually find that light that came out of everything. And so knowing that really there's a purpose in all of it, not just my stories, but other people and their stories, to help other people avoid unconscious life situations of their own or change their current unhappy life situation. It's really not about me. It's not about my stories. It's really just about how we learn to successfully navigate through this life in form without losing our truth, without losing who we are, the essence of who we are, what it's really all about. And that's my why.
That.
Yeah, my why is to really shout that out.
Oh, that's amazing. I think people can really, really definitely resonate with that. And, I'm always curious as the host, like, why do people do what they do? Like, I wonder what this deep why is. And I've heard so many different whys. I'm like, so amazing. Every time I ask the question, I'm blown away by people's response. So thank you for sharing that. So the point of the show is to go through a transformation period and then return to help those around you. So talk about, and it says that you've gone through quite the transformation. So if you could pick one or two, what is a transformational moment that put you on the path to what you're doing now?
Good question. Well, to back up slightly, my belief and my approach to not only to with my own life, but my approach when coaching and just writing and teaching others is even before you know your why, you need to know who you are. And that is really the nexus, if you will, the core, the very, very initial thing that we really need to figure out first. There's like so much emphasis. I want to even say too much emphasis is placed on all of the irrelevant things in life. Yeah, I mean the things that don't really matter. Not enough emphasis is put on self-love and training our minds to focus on and achieve our dreams. Yeah, so we get caught up in these life situations and, whether you judge it good or bad or indifferent or whatever it may be, and suddenly we become further and further away from this one thing that we always dreamed of and made us happy. And so I really honestly say that we change these statistics, and that's part of my why, but you've got to know your who before your why. You can't do it the other way around. So that said, that was the major wake-up call. That was the big pivotal moment when I decided to figure out my who. To figure out because the person that I was looking at from the outside in, as if I were kind of somewhere up in the air looking down at me in my life situations, I said, that's really just not who I am, and those three key questions we ask ourselves: who am I? Why am I here? Right? I mean, that's basically those universal questions. That's always been, who am I? No matter where I go on this planet, thank goodness, what I found is that people go through great lengths in finding the answer to this question, who am I? And that's a great thing,
right.
But even more now than ever, we're waking up in a world and thanks to people like you who actually give people the opportunity to, to express themselves and be around the world, and thanks to technology today, that, we're now waking up in a world that has been asleep. We've just been asleep. But now I really, my big why is to help people awaken their dormant potential, because we've all got, we all have these things inside of us. I call it magic inside of us that is just sleeping, and we have the power to really do these great, wonderful, amazing things. And when we wind up in the middle of these life situations that we wake up and we say, what is going on? So my pivotal turnaround was really me preferring to be somewhere dead than to go on living the way I was living. And that's a really dark, dark place to be. When I remember one night, one morning, on the shower floor, just crying, and really asking God to just give me, and forgive me for saying this, but I'm sure many of the listeners have been there. Just asking God, give me some kind of body-threatening disease and just kill me now, because I can't do this anymore. I can't even be a mommy anymore. I don't know. I was just in so much pain. It was just too much suffering for me. And I also felt that, that saying where everyone says, God doesn't give you more than you can handle. I was like, oh really? Yeah. That's not the way I feel.
Right.
And
that's not the way the Bible tells it either.
Exactly. And I just felt like,
that's
false. I'm saying that's just a bunch of baloney. And I'm not doing and between you and me and everyone listening in the world, I said, I am not doing this anymore. And this is one of the big pivotal things that I love to tell people is every single moment of the day of our life, we are just one decision away from changing it and giving us a perfect situation, a perfect career, a perfect relationship, a perfect life, right? One
absolutely.
decision away.
100%. You're one decision from going to prison. You're one decision from dying. You're one decision from a healthy relationship. I mean, literally, you're one decision. You can go in 1,000 different directions. It's just one decision away from that direction. Absolutely.
And do you know what stops us? You know what changes that decision, or what is fear? Is fear. All of the what ifs. All of the fear. Yeah. There's so many offsprings or derivatives, if you will, that come from fear. And I mean, why would you really believe or fear something that hasn't happened?
Yep.
When you could change everything in that moment in time, right in that present moment. And that's really what it's 100%. All about. That's what it comes down to for all of us.
100%. Yep. 100%. There's so many times where people have brought fear and worry and anxiety and stress into today. It hasn't even happened yet. Like, what if this happened? And then, oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, that hasn't even happened yet. Like,
exactly.
I get you have to plan. And that's great. You can plan for the failure. You can plan for, whatever. But why stress and worry? Or they bring the past into today, the past pain and the past hurt. And they bring it into today, and they're still living that life of pain and suffering, and
so you're living in space. You're living in space. Yep. You're not living in the moment. You're living behind and forward. You're living in space.
Yeah, I just believe that suffering is a choice. I just do. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm different. I just think that suffering is a choice.
Yeah. I actually tell the difference between suffering and pain in my book, Truth to Triumph. And I mean, honestly, pain, that's going to be inevitable. We're all going to suffer pain, at one point in our lives. All of us, every single one of us, at one time or another. But the difference is, are you going to use that pain and learn how to bring peace through the pain, or are you going to bring suffering through the pain? You only have two choices. There's no in between. There's no gray. You're either going to suffer from the pain, or you're going to find peace through the pain. I mean, every single highly realized individual today have all come from a highly painful life, if you think about it, right? Some of our biggest spiritual teachers in the world, they don't come from, this wonderful upbringing of life. They all they all had to climb through the trenches. But then that time you decide to not suffer and to bring peace, that's where everything starts to transform in your life. Hence the transformation. You're transforming that pain, and you're transforming into peace. If not, you're transforming into suffering, which is a very, very dark place to be.
Oh, yeah. And like you said, a lot of people have lived there, and then they've come out the other side, and they're like, wow, that really sucked. I should be on a purpose to help people not do that. I believe, I think I'm emotionally qualified to bring people through this pain and not through the suffering.
Exactly. In fact, all kidding aside, I was going to name my book "Don't Let This Happen to You," but then I says no, because there's a lot of very raw and serious stories in there, and I didn't want it to come off looking like it was going to be a comedic book. Although there is a lot of my humor within the book. But honestly, look, health, that is an omnipresent reality, and it's not just health physically. It's health emotionally. It's health mentally. It's health spiritually. Everything is hand in hand. So, and I think that the world now is becoming more and more conscious of overall well-being. It's not just fitness, but fitness now has to sandwich with, with also wellness. That is wellness. It's not just not just this vehicle, this vehicle that houses our soul. We need to be in touch with the soul. We need to start to see things like at soul level, if you will.
No, I 100% agree. Yep, 100% agree. So is that why you wrote Truth to Triumph?
Yeah, I did. I wrote it. I tell some of the stories in there to shed light on those people that are currently in a dark place. And again, like I said before, we would not be human if we didn't find ourselves in a dark place at one point or another in our life. So I wrote this book for really everyone who breathes life. I wrote it to actually help people see the light, because honestly, the light is not on top of the mountain, Sean. It's actually in the valley when you're in the darkness. It's in the darkness. That's where you see the light. You're not going to see the light with the shine. It's always going to be there, shining on you. You've got to find it when you're in the dark place. That's when you say, aha, right? I mean, it's easy for all of us to walk around like, kumbaya when life is going great. You know what I'm saying? But that's not where the awakenings happen. The awakenings happen when you're really at adversity, almost scratching your head or giving up or throwing in the towel or whatever, and sometimes it's not the outward situation either. What do I mean by that is sometimes many of the listeners might say, okay, everything seems really great. Oh, I hear you, Pooch. You have a little dog back there? How cute. That's so cute. He's hungry. He, she. No, but sometimes
the air probably moved around him.
Yeah, okay. That's funny.
Dog barks for everything.
I think that he just understands what I'm saying, because if your outside situation seems like, okay, I don't know why I'm unhappy. I don't know why I'm miserable. I've got nothing seemingly, around me that I should feel unhappy with. But those are the things where you have to look inside and say, oh, so what's going on in my mind. So, you know, how do you guard? One of the big things that I talk about is guarding your thoughts. And if you don't guard your thoughts, all of that negative, unloving narrative that you let in becomes the main source of the mental summary of yourself. And again, it's all about starting with who am I, and then whoever that is, loving it. So loving yourself, self-love. Yeah. And again, huge. This is suffering. This, you know, this rings true not just for us adults, but this rings true for your children as well. You know, so, you know, guarding help, you know, even teaching them how to guard their thoughts. So when parents act out, let's say, you know, in this highly unconscious behavior in front of their children, they're teaching them suffering through experience rather than love through experience. You know, all children really want is to feel love, have peace, right? That's all adults really want, is to feel love and have peace. No one wants to feel fear. No one wants to experience conflict. No one. And when a child experiences verbal attacks from their mommy or their daddy, or they witness verbal attacks in between, like one parent to another, or from one sibling to another, that even bullies, even people in school, they store it in their mental warehouse. So it doesn't just happen at home. It happens in school. You know, bullying is big. It happens anywhere you go. It happens in the workplace. We get bullied as adults, right? But that negative verbiage creates this internal mental dialogue that says, oh, so this is who I am. But that's baloney. That's a bunch of baloney. But, you know,
that's the stories we tell ourselves.
Exactly. And for those listeners today that are aware of this internal conflict, don't buy into it. Really know that you are amazing, loving, beautiful, perfect, just the way you are right in this very moment. And teach this to your children as well. And, you know, you're talking about stories, exactly, the stories that you tell yourself, also the stories that you harbor or the stories that you hear people say. I mean, like letting go of our stories is so big because if you don't let go of your stories from the past, you wind up being trapped in them. And so then, you know, and again, you begin to create your own suffering. And you know, so what is suffering? What's the purpose of suffering, Sean? Right? It serves no purpose other than to make you unhappy. Right?
Yeah.
Right?
No, and sometimes our own suffering is something that we did ourselves. It's our own decisions. It's our own inhibitions. It's our own failure to make a decision sometimes. And so sometimes we create our own suffering.
We do. We walk right into it. And it's obviously, we all know at this point in time in 2018, almost 2019, it's the number one cause for disease and even death. And when you store those unhappy stories, they keep playing in the mind again and again, you know, like a broken record. And so you never heal. You never breathe in that beauty and love in the here and now because you're trapped in an old story. So we want to kind of, you know, we want to say no to that. We want to just say no to that. And, you know, healing is not a process. It's a revelation. It's a revelation. It might feel like a process, but it's a revelation in that you knowing and claiming, you know, health and truth for yourself. And that's another big thing I always try and get out there. Just really telling people to really affirm that, you know, that they're aware of the constant flow of their body, and so they can experience their body as pure perfection, not as some name of some illness or sickness or disease that is given to them, right? Because you know, and then they're looking at their body as a structure. And I kind of like to suggest that people don't look at their body as a structure, but really just, you know, see it as a constant flow. Because in actuality, there's really no process in healing. It's the revelation of knowing you are pure spirit. And I know that's kind of deep, but, you know, we have to start to get to that level of seeing ourselves again through soul level, you know, through the eyes of the soul, through the eyes of the heart, kind of connecting the body, the mind, and the heart. That's big. And your intuition is big as well. We know what we're supposed to do. But again, it comes down to that one decision, right?
Yeah.
How many times we say, oh, I shouldn't have done it, right? Oh, I should have acted on that.
And the saddest part about humanity is that we keep telling ourselves that we're just meant to suffer. And this is the only way that I'm supposed to live. So they plant their mailbox, they plant their address and say, this is my life. This is all I'm good for. I'm never going to be good enough for anything else. And you start telling yourself these stories and you start having, like what you talked about, the inner dialogue, and it affects our life. It affects the way that we interact with people, our relationships. And, you know, this inner dialogue that we have that says you're never going to be good enough. You're only meant to suffer. You're never going to live a great life. You're never going to accomplish anything. So why bother? And that inner dialogue affects our life.
Completely. Yeah, completely. That, you know, that's part, that inner dialogue. I think I just lost you. I'm just going to, I think it might be my.
Nope, I'm here.
You there? Okay, good.
I'm here.
But that inner dialogue is big because honestly, it's good to really ask yourself what exactly is going, what is the commentary that's in the mind? Because it can be a blessing or a curse. You know, that it can either bring you suffering or bring you inner peace. And no matter what our life circumstance, whatever the situation that we're going through now, acceptance of what is actually going on in that moment, not what is going on in the thinking mind, not what is going on, you know, that commentary in the mind, the inner dialogue, brings you a sense of peace that allows clarity of the mind and stillness of the heart. Be still and know, right? I mean, there is no greater resolve than peace. None.
Right.
None.
Right.
In every situation, that's really what we should strive for.
Absolutely. And you hit on a couple buzzwords that I absolutely love, whether it be buzzwords, or cliche, or whatever, is you talked about self-love, right? You talked about self-love, and then you talked about acceptance, which is something as a speaker that I speak really as a resilience trainer. Is something that I speak a lot about is that acceptance part, because a lot of times and my TEDx talk was on this. My TEDx talk was about hacking your brain for success and having a level of acceptance for the thoughts, feelings, and beliefs that we're having. Because a lot of times we don't know where they come from, or sometimes we have these thoughts, feelings, and beliefs about ourselves and about the world, and they control our decisions and that inner dialogue. So accepting those thoughts, where like, yes, I have this thought. I wonder where that's coming from. Yes, I believe this certain way. I wonder where it's coming from. So I love that you touched on acceptance, and I love that you talked on self-love and acceptance. But really my question for you, because I've done some research on you and I know a little bit about you. So we're all in the transformation industry. We're all in the transformation and self-growth and all that. But as a coach, I'm curious, how do we unleash the blockages that we all have? I mentor people, you mentor people. Like, let's talk about that. What blocks people from actually realizing their full transformation, their full potential?
The unwillingness to let go. And again, that equals the opposite of acceptance. The unwillingness to let go. To let go of what? To let go of fear. And what comes from fear? Hurt, anger, grief, depression, all of the unhappy stories. It's all about letting go of fear and letting in love. Letting go of fear, letting in love. And by the way, we can't, just like your muscles or your fat does not transmute or turn into or become muscle. The same thing with our spirit. We don't. The same thing with the love and the fear within our spirit. We don't turn fear into love. We actually have to transfer it the heck out of our energy field. Period. Full stop. You transfer out the fear and every single thing that does not serve your highest self. Transfer it out into the universe. Who cares where it goes? And transfer in the love. And we've got to come to a point of deciding to do that, accepting the fact that there is a bunch of filth and dirt that's rumbling around in your energy field, and get rid of it. Remember, when we hold on to the unhappy stories, we're holding also on to ego, right? And the identification that we have with ego. But that holding on allows ego to take over. And it's not, by the way, ego gets a bad rap. It's not that ego is bad, Sean. It's that typically it's highly unconscious. I don't know if that makes any sense. Okay, yeah, you're going to take a shower, you're going to be clean, you're going to comb your hair because you care about what you look like. You care about how you present yourself, of course. So it's not that ego is bad all the time, but it's constantly in and out of the mind and acts out very unconsciously. And that's the ego that we really need to let go of constantly. And the only thing gained from all of that holding on is suffering. And this is what took me decades to learn, and I kid you not. Yeah. So it's really that the things that block us from this spiritual growth, self-growth, your own miraculous destined transformation, if you will, is the unwillingness to let go. We are responsible to clean our own house. No one else. Sure. No one else is going to clean it for us, right? No one else is living in this house except for us. And I'm talking about what's housing the soul. I'm talking about what's deep inside, the essence of who you are beneath this body, right? Beneath this vessel, so to speak, that's driving, And one of the good questions is, like, who is driving? Like, because this body is really, it's housing the soul. We need to make sure that love is steering the wheel. We need to make sure that love is what's we're driven by the heart. And I don't know how much, like you said that you kind of looked up or searched or whatever on me, but just after my book came out, just this past year, I literally came to this little epiphany with another radio host who we became friends after, and we were talking together, and and the two of us came up with the fact that, Lily, you're a locksmith. I said, yeah, a locksmith to the heart. So I actually call myself the locksmith to the heart because I help people really unlock those barriers, those blockages that are stopping them from not only reaching their highest potential, but for really serving their higher self. So the things that we're holding on to that really are not serving our higher self, it's not doing us justice. We know, and we know that it's not. And this could mean anything. This could mean anything from habits to decisions that we make that constantly that we don't feel are right, to how we act with people, how we don't act with people. I mean, everything and anything. We need to really come down to the reality that we're holding on to things that do not serve us well. Right.
Absolutely. And I tell people to audit their time just like they would audit their money. You audit your time by figuring out what serves you, what is helping you, and then weed out the things that are consuming your time for no reason, consuming your energy that are bad. Maybe it's a bad relationship, a bad friend, a bad job, or whatever it is. So 100% love. No doubt. What you were saying there. So how have you now taken, we read the bio, you were the dancer, the actress, the entrepreneur, but you had suffered in silence yourself. So you're uniquely qualified to talk about these transformations that happen, right?
Uniquely. So, I never heard it put that way. I love it. I am uniquely qualified to tell you, don't let this happen to you. Well, here's the kicker. The kicker is, I didn't go from like my home life as a child right into getting married at a young age and being in this domestically violent home. I actually had, I'm embarrassed to say, but it's out there now. The book is out there. I actually had a good amount of years. I'm going to say about, I don't know, maybe 19, 12. I'm trying to think of how many years it was, but I mean, I had a good amount of years. I'm going to say 12 or 15 years that was really fine after my home life. And that was the time when I was really, auditioning and really honing my craft, and I was working on stage and I was traveling and so on and so forth. Then, and that in itself, I felt, pushing through that, becoming a professional at what I was doing and really kind of quote unquote living what I felt was my dream at the time. That was a triumph all in itself. However, once I was on my way to what I felt was my purpose at the time is when I took this 180 pivot into what I call the path left of center. And it's interesting because why do you think I made this pivot? Because I didn't clean my house. I still had all of these things that were harbored deep down that I'd never addressed. And you could blame everyone in the world that you want. Like, well, no one looked at domestic violence. And it's true. No one talked to anyone about anything like that. And it's true. But the bottom line is we have to, which is another reason why I do what I do, is because I want to really make sure that from this point forward, every single person that I touch understands that we have the power to create new generational blessings. Okay, so my parents failed at doing that, but it doesn't mean that I can fail. It doesn't mean that my son will fail at it. It means that we all have the power to do it now from this point forward. So I'm all about breaking the mold for generational blessings. That's what I'm all about. If any parents are listening right now, it's a parent's responsibility to show children love, honor, respect in all that we do so that they can experience it for themselves. And if we could do this, Sean, one by one, we can change lives. And this is from the bottom of my heart. I mean, we need to start promoting values as human beings, which can be universal regardless of our life situations, regardless of our race, religion, belief systems, whatever. This is how we manifest and create generational blessings. We're human beings whose purpose is always here to love, right? I mean, that's why we're here. Remember, we're not human beings having a spiritual experience, right? We're spiritual beings having a human experience. So then act like it. So teach your children love through experience, not language. You could tell your kids, I love you, I love you, I love you, till the cows come home. But you have to really show it through experience. This whole quagmire vocabulary is so limiting. It puts us all in a prison. But when you allow experience to be your teacher, you are opening the door to infinite possibilities of growth. In fact, I'm just now, I was on I don't remember who I was speaking with, but it kind of struck a chord. So I want to repeat that here.
Sure.
We're any moms and dads or even adults that remember this growing up. The old school or the old paradigm, or even currently now, today, you hear parents always constantly saying, let's say a child comes home with a great, report card or an A+ on a project, or they won a tournament in wrestling, or they scored, the last goal in soccer. Oh, that's great. Mommy's so proud of you. Or, Daddy's so proud of you. Way to go. I'm so proud of you. Or you can have this because you did so well. Way to go. So proud of you. We need to stop doing that. We need to self-love in the child by saying, wow, hey, dude, way to go. You must be so proud of yourself. We have to does that make sense? We are raising children that are looking for validation from mommy, from daddy, from teachers, from professors, from girlfriends, from boyfriends, from spouses, from partners. We have to stop doing that, because that takes the individual further and further away from their self-worth, their self-esteem, their self-love. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So then when a curveball gets thrown your way, affirmations are big. Why the heck do you think we need them? Because we're being raised in a society where we're waiting for people to say, we're so proud of you. Yay, way to go. It should be, wow, you must be so proud of yourself, man. Way to go. How cool you must feel you are. Because we need to start promoting that. We have to start feeling good about ourselves and validating ourselves. Does that make sense?
Yep, absolutely. And that's kind of, I don't know. I get proud of myself, and I do things like that. But I think now I'm more of sometimes a young adult. I want people to tell me that they were proud of me. It was almost like I needed the validation to say, you're doing a good job, keep going. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I remember that. I remember, just like, hey, boss, how was that? Did you like it? I liked it. Like, I was so worried about what other people thought about me and my work ethic and whatever, that I never really took the time to find out how I felt about me.
That's exactly.
Which is why I always yearn to say, I'm proud of you, or I want to know how you think about me or whatever.
Totally.
So yeah.
Yeah, that's why. I mean, we've got to kind of start turning. We have to start making that shift of really what we're teaching our children. I mean, that's a perfect example of why that kind of mindset starts. We got to turn. We really have to turn that around. Mm-hmm. And I think it's huge to. Yep. And it's nowhere is it egotistical, but it's really impactful when children grow up feeling good about themselves, confident, self-motivated, if you will, all of the above, and also not fearing what they want to try, and just going ahead and just doing it, because it comes from a sense of passion from inside. Like, look, everything that we do, it's, again, we have to let, everything's driven through the heart. If it's not, there's just some kind of external reason why we do something, and it's only it may produce some good fruit, but it's not going to be, it's more like that low-hanging fruit, but it's not the deep-rooted, infinite happiness or passion, a happiness that comes from a real deep-rooted passion. So we really want to do things that are making us, bringing us joy from the inside out. I'm not saying that it's nice to have this or that, or, go here or there, or make $1 million or 30 million, whatever it may be. The point is that all of these things in the external world, they're all going to come and go, right? They're all kind of temporary, transient like bits of happiness, transient bits of happiness. But the bottom line is, when we can really find that peace in times of adversity, then you've really struck gold. I always say that, we were talking about decision before at the top of the hour or the half hour, and another something that parallels with that is choice. And I always say that, choice is huge. It's one of the gateways to triumph in your life. And situations in your life, again, might not always turn perfect. But the choice to have peace in a situation is always there. So if you have peace in a situation, then it truly is perfect. You just choose to have peace. And then you make that shift. Then you can shift and try and, and make a decision to change the course of action so that, it turns around for you. Again, you're responsible for your own change in life, no one else. And when you're ready for that shift to awareness and remembrance of love, self-love, that awakening is what will birth that intense sense of peace.
I love that. Oh, that's so far. Again, the number is 657-383-1. I'm curious. Start to position, spiritual practice, and use your why and use transformational moment to become the top-rated speaker and coach today.
Can you say that one more time? For some reason, my sound is going off a little bit. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Yeah, so I was asking, how have you taken your why and your transformational moment to their lives?
How does my why and my transformational moment change lives? Is that what you asked me, Sean?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Because there's actual practical steps that we need to really take. We can say till the cows come home, love yourself and, let go of this and let go of that and let go of fear and everything I've been talking about. But the bottom line is,
right.
People have been really hearing that probably for a couple of decades or a couple of books down the road. But really, what I like to really teach people is that there's a practical way to do it, and there's the fundamental things that need to be done. And one of the most fundamental things that need to be done is reframing our minds. And it sounds simple, but I encourage everyone to try and practice this every single day in and day out, every single day, every week, until they actually really adopt this as a good habit. And what I mean by reframing our minds to really feel fulfilled and happy today, instead of always seeking for a happier tomorrow. And tomorrow is only made up of one substance, and that's the present moment. And I'm going to repeat that because I want everyone to really, really hone in on this. Tomorrow is only made up of one substance, the present moment. So if you're managing everything the best way that you can in the present moment, in the here and now, that is the best thing you can do for a happier tomorrow. So, case in point, if there is love, understanding, and happiness now, in the present moment, you will have love, understanding, and happiness tomorrow in your future. And so my point is, I'm going to drive this home, is don't seek happiness and fulfillment in the world of form, because it's not there. It's not there. Sean, I had this big, beautiful house. And I was, getting the crap beat out of me. So how was I happy?
Right.
So it's all impermanent. Even happiness is impermanent. That's why we need to practice happiness every moment of every day. That's part of reframing your mind. Happiness is in the here and now. Mm-hmm. And I promise you and every single listener out there that there are enough conditions today in this moment for happiness to be found right now in this here and now. And we have a divine appointment to enter the here and now. Then the question is, are you ready? And when we miss that divine appointment, we miss life. We don't want to miss life because we are life. We want to really, we want to live that life.
Yeah. Before we resources, you have your website, you have some other resources that are struggling with the things. Is there a certain resource, like course, your coaching, like use?
Yes, I have a couple of things. True that. So obviously, my book, Truth to Triumph, A Spiritual Guide to Finding Your Truth, and everyone can get that around the entire world internationally at Amazon.com. And I also, if you go to my website, I encourage everyone to go on there. You can even get the Amazon link on my website. The website's lilysanders.live. So it's LILYSANDERS.live. And on my website, I got a couple of free gifts, especially offering a free ebook on my site for all the listeners today, for your listeners. And it's called Soul Bread, Daily Affirmations That Feed the Soul.
Love that.
And yeah, it's a great tool. Again, this is a practical tool. We need practical. Everyone's busy in life, and everyone, we need practical. And what it is 12 affirmations that I selected mindfully, and going from like love, judgment, regret, discipline, doubt, trust, surrender, transition, grief, forgiveness, and fear, and purpose. So there's 12 affirmations. I really highly suggest everyone go on. All you have to do is sign up for Lily's free e-notes and e-quotes, which maybe once a month or every 3 weeks I send out a quote. I hear your dog, how cute. See, he agrees.
I know, yeah.
No, like, that's okay.
I locked him up.
He wants
so
to be
now
heard.
He's all mad at me.
It's okay. He wants to be heard. And then also, I'm really, really excited about launching the 7 Gateways to Triumph, which is an e-course. You could take it at your leisure. There are 7 lessons, the 7 gateways, hence 7 lessons, 7 Gateways to Triumph. They are actually things that you learn within Truth to Triumph. But you don't have to read the book Truth to Triumph to take the e-course. And I highly recommend people take the course. It's, again, real simple, and you can get all of that off my website as well. And then, if you just navigate through my website, obviously you could contact me for coaching. Absolutely.
Awesome. I love that.
Thank you.
So I have one more question to ask. So what or who has been your biggest influencer now, in the past? Who do you follow? Where do you derive your inspiration and influence from?
That's a good question. I love, there's so many, thank goodness. But I am big on, I love Eckhart Tolle. I think that Eckhart Tolle, not The Power of Now, but A New Earth, that was the first book of his that I read, and I was very taken back by it. Loved that book. I love Dr. Stephen Covey. I don't know if you're familiar with him. I mean, if that is not a complete example of the science of the mind behind, like, how you can, what does he say? Don't deny the, what does he say? Don't deny the prognosis, but defy the verdict. I mean, this is an amazing person to me. He was, what an influence to me. Just reading all about him in his book, his story. And another big influence for me is Ernest Holmes. very big on the power of the mind, and his book is The Science of the Mind, and that's been a very big influence on me as well. And of course, there's in and out spiritual teachers that, of course, I always love, like the Dalai Lama, and all the spiritual teachers that most of us probably have known or read, and but really, Dr. Stephen Covey, big time for me, and Ernest Holmes.
I love it. Thank you so much for sharing those. I'm always curious where people are deriving their inspiration, influence, just so I can learn and come behind them, because I believe that success leaves clues. And if I can read these books and learn, I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I want to read that. And, it just brings me to the next level as well. So,
of course. No,
I love what people are listening to, especially podcasts.
Yeah. It's true. There's actually so many, we will finalize this time together, and I'm going to say, I should have said, which actually, by the way, from the 80s, big time for me was Louise L Hey. Do you remember Louise L Hey? Louise L Hey, she was my first exposure to love, self-love, and how to do powerful affirmations. Louise L Hay, and that was in the 80s, and I actually mention her in my book. I give her credit in my book as to someone who I felt that door knocking on the door of my soul. I remember buying her book, Sean, I kid you not, never reading the book. But I remember just being attracted to the title and what it said on there. You have the power within to heal yourself. And I bought the book, and I went back to the same bookstore, and I wound up buying her cassette tapes for meditation. It turned out that it wasn't really meditation; it was affirmations, and they were very powerful. And I used to put them in my ears. And I'm dating myself. They were cassette tapes, and they were for evening and for morning. And she was huge to me. I still recommend her to people now. You have to pull up like her old, her old affirmations, but she's still very, very big in the spiritual genre for sure. Love her. She's just tremendous to me.
Awesome. So I want to thank you so much for your time, your energy, and the level of knowledge, value, and content that you've given here on Life Transformation Radio. Thank you so much.
It's my pleasure to be here. I'm so excited that we finally made it today together. Yes. And I look forward to chatting again in the future. God bless.
Absolutely. So if you can leave the listeners with one thing, if you could give them your best nugget of knowledge that will motivate, transcend, and inspire someone to take action, what would that be?
Oh, okay. I'll tell you what. I've got one, and I'm going with this. Listening to spirit.
Okay.
Turn your attention in, and trust that your attention is the translator of your intuition, your mind, and your heart. And when we turn our attention in, our wisdom becomes remarkable. And from that point, how we choose to experience every situation in life is qualia. And that's what I'd like to leave everyone today.
I absolutely love that.
Thank you.
That's a great way to end the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm really, really sending out lots of love around the world to everyone that's listening in, and just know that you are loved and worthy of everything that you desire in life. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you so much. And you're completely welcome. Life Transformation Radio listeners, an amazing guest doing incredible things in the world. If anything resonated with you, please contact Lily Sanders at www.lily.live. Instagram. It's all right there in the show notes. Go ahead and connect with her. You will not be disappointed. Go and pick up her book, Truth to Triumph, a spiritual guide to finding your truth. It is available everywhere books are sold. Now, as we close the show, I want to leave you with this. Live your brand. Find opportunities every day to live out the core values that you hold deep in your heart. And I call this living your brand. So until next episode, live a great life.
Skydiving. This is amazing.
Yeah, but you know what else is amazing? An iPhone 6S for just $49 at Metro.
Really?
Imagine streaming all the way down with that amazing camera. I'm switching.
That's smart.
You know what else is smart? Parachutes.
Switch to Metro and get an amazing iPhone 6S for only $49. Metro by T-Mobile. Phone offer requires port in of number not currently active on T-Mobile network or active on Metro in past 90 days. See store for details and terms and conditions.
Skydiving. This is amazing.
Yeah, but you know what else is amazing? An iPhone 6S for just $49 at Metro.
Really?
Imagine streaming all the way down with that amazing camera. I'm switching.
That's smart.
You know what else is smart? Parachutes.
Switch to Metro and get an amazing iPhone 6S for only $49. Metro by T-Mobile. Phone offer requires port in of number not currently active on T-Mobile network or active on Metro in past 90 days. See store for details and terms and conditions.